I, what's really going on? Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Going to be taking a look at Litecoin, LTC against USDT, the Binance chart. Going to be taking a look at the technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be taking a look at some rectangles interacting with lines, sometimes that are at an angle that form triangles. We're going to be taking a look at some key levels I believe price action is going to be interacting with in the kind of short term to midterm here. There's lots going on at this level here. We appear to be breaking out of some kind of last key accumulation resistance kind of points in this kind of swing high. We had some exhaustion back in the end of February there, and we've been accumulating kind of since up until very recently. Now, jumping right into it, to recap this uptrend here from October 20th of 2020. We had this big breakout from resistance around $50 per Litecoin, and we've been kind of rallying aggressively ever since, accumulating along this trend line that I've started since then, that we've been kind of respecting up until kind of now. Again, we are now interacting with it. We've been kind of rallying up it throughout the time. We'd have these kind of multi-week accumulation periods. There's 30 days right there before breaking out, and then we have another kind of phase of over a month before breaking out. We are now in this most recent phase, breaking out of a resistance we've been in for almost 2 months, roughly. And so now we appear to be interacting yet again with this trend line that has held significance kind of all the way up this uptrend. When we broke out to retest what was significant resistance, we found it as support multiple times, supporting the short-term bullish breakout of what appeared to be kind of a descending triangle kind of at the time. I left this trend line on the chart, and we now have shot above it, rejecting off of it kind of twice, interacting with it 2 times before pushing above, opening, and now we'll see if we can close above this sort of trend line now. And so, I mean, closing above the trend line, I believe, is going to be very extremely short-term bullish, and we can see some pretty crazy moves for Litecoin very, very soon here. We've had a breakout, almost a pretty much near perfect breakout and retest if you were to consider, I guess, this as the sort of final like resistance point there. And pretty much almost perfectly broke out after retesting off of it, came back down, broke up, retested the top of it as support, and came back up again, kind of thing. And so breakout retests are usually very bullish and are usually very good confirmations of previous resistance becoming support. And now that we're closing above this trend line that we've been supported through all the way through this entire uptrend, we only fell out of it. This is the longest time we've fallen out of it kind of since since I kind of started it. And now that we're back up above, we can see some really bullish price action very quickly. When we slap on EngineeringRobo, we see a new perspective come into play here, along with the use of these fettuccine levels and the usage of sacred angles and geometry. We can find key levels that we can interact with in the kind of short term here. We have tons of very bullish signals coming into play. We have the buy for, sell for is coming in before consolidation, buy for to support the breakouts. We have these bull signals coming in to let us know we're bullish. We got bulls coming in during consolidation. All throughout the while, this green cloud, EngineeringRobo's cloud, is present, supporting the uptrend and suggesting every time there's like after a sell signal, a buy signal is probably going to is likely to return after some key consolidation. We have Fibonacci lines aligning with my drawn support lines, and which I believe hold significance over others. We have Fibonacci lines above the kind of most final resistance here in this accumulation, where we could see rejection off of this kind of swing high of 275, and if we do, we could definitely come back down potentially to a very low of kind of 222, it would seem. But there also does seem to be some buy pressure above 240 as well. These seem to be some very short-term levels we could accumulate to if we were to get rejected off of this, like right now kind of thing. If we were to get kind of bounced there, we could come back and kind of trade in this sort of manner. That would be a far more kind of more like stretched out, kind of a more natural accumulation of this kind of breakout, and it would kind of prolong the upward uptrend, and would be a healthier kind of move upward versus directly upward. But I suspect realistically, with the significance of these buy signals and the bullishness of Litecoin right now, and this breakout of this accumulation, that we could easily see a couple of serious upward pumps in kind of a really quick amount of time here. Even this candle alone is a good 16% in a day, and then like a couple days later we had a good 12% swing high candle in the day, closing kind of 9-10% above previous open. And so bullishness of this breakout is ever so apparent. We could easily see something like this as we find support along this trend line. If we interact with it kind of a couple more times, that would further support this breakout short term, and we could see some crazy spiking. Now, if we consider the price of Litecoin against the price of Bitcoin, we see a new perspective kind of come into play here. We have a very strong bounce off of this kind of 3,200 Satoshi kind of range there. This was a very key kind of swing low that we kind of bent out of and were able to gain against Bitcoin. Broke up, resisted, came off of resistance around 4,100, and then bounced off support around 3,700. Just the key range that we kind of briefly interacted with. We now appear to be coming out of and retesting it for support. This 4,100 Satoshi level there. Another significant resistance will be around 4,500, I believe, before we kind of have free room to gain against Bitcoin and see some pretty serious moves. We slap on EngineeringRobo along with the fettuccine lines. We have a new perspective. We have interaction with the golden cross here, and this 200 moving average. I believe that to be very, very short term and long term bullish. We finally have some closing candles closing, breaking out and retesting off of this 200 moving average line, suggesting we could really see some gains against Bitcoin or along with Bitcoin very soon here. We have this kind of little bit of resistance around the 0.786 line, 4,269 Satoshi, sorry, is a key resistance kind of right now. We just bounced off of, held support along the 200 moving average, which is very bullish. Have this golden cross closing by 4 moon interaction with this Fibonacci line around the 0.786 level, this 4,269-ish kind of Satoshi, along with support around 4,100, and this 200 moving average is very bullish short term and long term. We have some key levels kind of above it, around the kind of 618 level and the 0.5 level there. Now, we've had interaction with the kind of golden cross, death cross kind of moving average back and forth through this accumulation, but we now have the golden cross closing, supporting this breakout, and I feel like we can see some pretty serious gains against Bitcoin in the very near future here. If we consider Bitcoin itself for a moment, we have a new perspective, and we can kind of see a lot's going on. We now have the buy 4 closing as we see a very strong breakout from very final resistance around 62,000. We had this crazy resistance that we were slapped and spit on for good amount of time before we were able to print this good 6% candle in a day. That doesn't sound significant, but in terms of relative price action, that is significant enough to print a buy 4. If you know what I'm saying. We had this sell 4 back in the end of March. And we've had this really bullish accumulation all the way through this kind of ascending pattern here. These higher lows but lower highs was pushing prices in a very tight range for quite some time before it got to a point where it has to go somewhere. And so long-term Bitcoin is going up, and up it will go. Now we have the super buy still present and moon still present, even though that sell 4 was present. The buy 4 is now returning. We now have this the candle kind of following it. This seems to be the pullback, the dip. It would appear to be the almost perhaps the final dip before we see some really crazy figures here. We've broken all-time highs. Say we come down, we seem to be gaining rejection off of this 63,900 kind of level there. If we get a rejection, because we come down, retest all-time highs, find support along there, we could easily see some really insane figures very soon here. Now the overall bullishness of Bitcoin is very abundant long term, but short term we do have some very significant resistance around this level, and I do believe we might have to retest and confirm it as support to see if we can kind of continue long term. If we consider now the fear and FOMO zone, FOMO zone's all the way up at the 79, 70, 80K kind of range there. We got plenty of room before real FOMO kicks in, and we can see the six-figure Bitcoin. But very nice move is pending here. This kind of seems to be the pivotal moment. If we get rejected, very bearish, multi-thousand-dollar move could occur, but a more than likely bullish multi-thousand-dollar move upward is likely to kind of explode here. And so there's lots going on for Bitcoin. Pay close attention to engineering robos. If we go back to Litecoin against the price of US dollar, and we consider the fear and FOMO zone as well, we are still some ways away from the FOMO zone, a good 47-50%, away from the FOMO zone there, around $395, $400, and that's when we can see some potential explosive activity for Litecoin, and we can see some real kind of tops being bought and some FOMO kind of kick in, or perhaps we could see a strong rejection and come all the way down to levels we trade at currently. I would suspect perhaps something, say we explode and fly through that kind of level there, and we come up kind of like that. That would be a kind of more short-term bullish accumulation as we come into the FOMO zone, rather than just shooting kind of up into it. This is kind of what I suspect to perhaps occur in the kind of short term here. But I do suspect interaction with the FOMO zone quite quickly. Traders holding until the FOMO zone. Perhaps you bought in at the fear zone here back at beginning of November of 2020. You're currently up over 300%, almost 400. You'll soon be up, I would suspect, 600% when we interact with this FOMO zone here. Once we get to $400 per Litecoin. Now, that does not seem very far-fetched in the bullishness of Litecoin and cryptocurrency overall moving forward. There's tons going on in the space here, and there's more than enough liquidity to bring Litecoin to these kind of figures. But momentum can change at any point in time, so you have to pay close attention. Thank you for tuning in. Check out all the social media down below. Subscribe here on YouTube. Try EngineeringRobo free. Link in the description. And tune in for the next one.